Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Intimacy Lab. If you are here, it means you are curious, you are searching, and maybe you have felt that gap before, that invisible distance that can exist even in the most intimate of moments. You've touched her skin, you've kissed her lips, but something deeper was missing. She didn't melt, she didn't overflow, she didn't surrender the way you dreamed she would. And perhaps you wondered quietly to yourself, what am I not doing right? Let me tell you something that will surprise you. Most men are looking in the wrong direction. They are focused on performance, on proving their stamina, on mastering techniques they read about online or heard from friends. But here's the truth, a woman does not pour water simply because of what you do to her body. She responds because of what you awaken in her mind and in her heart. She needs to feel at the very core of her being that she is safe to let go. And safety, my dear, is not a boring word. Safety is the sexiest word you could ever embody. Think about it. How many women walk through life holding tension in their shoulders, in their hips, in their throats? They are carrying stress from work, unspoken fears, doubts about their bodies, memories of times when they were not honored or respected. She may laugh with you, kiss you, even make love to you, but her body might still be locked away, and no amount of pressure or technique will force it open. It is not about forcing, it is about inviting. So, what is the first key to making her pour water? It is your presence. I don't mean presence as in simply being there physically. I mean presence in the way you look at her, the way you touch her without rushing, the way you listen without needing to respond. Presence is when your energy tells her, I am here, I see you, you are safe with me. And when she feels that, her nervous system relaxes. Her guard comes down, she stops performing and starts feeling. Let me give you an image. Imagine she is like a tightly closed flower. You can't pry the petals open with your fingers. That would only damage them. But place her in the warmth of the sun, let her feel the gentle touch of the breeze, and she will open by herself. That warmth is your attention, your calm energy, your ability to slow down instead of speeding up. The more you chase the outcome, the further it slips away. But when you savor the moment, when you let her know she doesn't have to be anywhere else, something inside her begins to unlock. And this is where most men miss the point. They confuse presence with passivity, but presence is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right thing with full awareness. It is in the way your hand rests on her thigh, not as a demand but as an invitation. It is in the way you breathe with her, matching her rhythm until she feels your heartbeat without even touching your chest. Presence turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. This is the beginning of making her pour water. Not a trick, not a shortcut, but a shift in how you show up. When she feels that presence, when she feels truly seen and safe, her body will answer in ways you could never force. And from here, we go even deeper, because presence is only the beginning of the journey. When presence begins to shift the atmosphere between you and her, you will notice it in subtle ways. Her breath softens, her shoulders drop, her eyes linger a little longer on yours. These are signs that her body is starting to trust you. And trust is the soil in which desire grows. Without it, everything feels mechanical. With it, her body becomes a place of abundance, overflowing naturally, not because you demanded it, but because you cultivated it. Now here's something important to understand. Women don't just crave presence, they crave polarity. They want to feel that contrast between their softness and your groundedness. Think of it as a dance of energies. She wants to feel her body expand into water, but for that to happen, she must feel your steadiness, like a riverbank holding the flow. If she is the current, you must be the ground. If she is the ocean, you must be the anchor. Too often, men confuse being safe with being soft in a way that loses polarity. They believe that to make her comfortable, they should become neutral, agreeable, almost invisible. But what a woman truly desires is not a man who disappears, but a man who is fully present and fully masculine. Someone who can look at her without flinching, who can hold her when she unravels, who doesn't retreat when her emotions pour out in waves. That steadiness is magnetic. Think back to the last time you held her gaze for just a few seconds longer than usual. Did you notice how something shifted? Maybe she looked away, maybe she laughed nervously, maybe she leaned in closer. That's polarity at work. It is not about aggression or dominance. It's about creating a charge between you, an unmistakable sense that you are the one holding the frame. When you do this, she can relax into her softness, her sensuality, her surrender, and in that surrender the water begins to flow. Let me share something that many men don't realize. A woman's arousal is rarely linear. It doesn't follow a straight line from zero to climax. Instead, it is layered, winding, full of pauses and accelerations. And if you want her to pour, you need to meet her in that rhythm rather than trying to force her into yours. Imagine listening to music together. If you push ahead of the beat, you break the song. But if you let yourself be absorbed into the rhythm, you create harmony. Her body is that rhythm. Your presence and polarity are what make her feel safe enough to let the song unfold. This is why foreplay is not just physical. Foreplay begins with how you speak to her earlier in the day, with how you touch her hand without rushing to the next step, with how you look at her as if she is the only woman in the world. When you do this, you're not just arousing her body, you're preparing her mind to release its defenses. You're telling her, without words, you don't need to hold back here, you can let go. And when she feels that, she begins to open in ways that are unteachable through technique alone. Presence plants the seed, polarity gives it energy. Together, they create the foundation for the moment when her body responds with the flow you've been longing for. And from this foundation, we can now move to the deeper layers of what truly unlocks her surrender. When you have presence and when you embody polarity, something remarkable begins to happen. She doesn't just feel safe, she starts to feel seen. And being seen is one of the most intoxicating experiences a woman can have. It is what makes her body not just respond, but overflow. Because when she feels that you notice her beyond the surface, when you attune to her emotions and energy, she no longer has to hide. Emotional attunement is not about fixing, nor is it about agreeing with everything she says. It's about listening in such a way that she feels your attention is undivided. Picture her telling you about her day. Most men half listen, waiting for their turn to respond, or they rush to offer solutions. But attunement is different. It's when you lean in, you hear not just her words but her tone, her pauses, the small sighs between her sentences. And when you respond, it's not with an answer, it's with acknowledgement. A simple "I hear you," or even silence paired with eye contact can be more powerful than any lecture. Why does this matter for intimacy? Because arousal is not just physical, it is deeply emotional. A woman who feels ignored or dismissed in daily life is unlikely to let her body open during the night. Her mind and her body are connected, and when you attune to her, when you create that emotional resonance, she feels the permission to let go of control. That is when her body softens. That is when the water flows. There is also a vulnerability to this. Because when she begins to pour, whether through her words, her emotions, or her body, it can be overwhelming. She may cry, she may laugh, she may tremble, and here is where your role becomes crucial. Do you retreat when her intensity shows up? Do you freeze when she becomes too much, or do you hold her steady, breathe with her, and let her know that nothing she brings will scare you away? If presence is the ground and polarity is the spark, then attunement is the bridge. It connects her inner world to your embrace. Without it, she may still give you her body, but she will not give you her surrender. With it, you unlock not only her desire, but her trust. And trust is the deepest aphrodisiac. Think of intimacy as a container. If the container feels too small, she will hold back. If it feels fragile, she will control herself to avoid breaking it. But if the container feels vast, unshakable, and steady, if she feels that you can hold her in all her expressions, she will expand beyond what you imagined. Her body will respond not in drops, but in waves, and here's the secret that very few men ever understand. When you reach this level of connection, it is no longer just about sex. It becomes an experience of release, of healing, of freedom. She pours not only because of arousal, but because with you she feels safe enough to let everything flow, her desire, her emotions, her energy. This is the kind of intimacy that stays with her long after the lights go out. From here, we begin to step into the next dimension, where not only your actions but your energy, the very way you hold yourself, becomes the key to unlocking her deepest response. Once a woman feels seen, and once she feels the safety of your presence and the steadiness of your polarity, she begins to lean into you in ways she cannot with anyone else. But there is still another layer, one that transforms connection into surrender, your masculine energy. And let me be clear, masculine energy is not about dominance or control in the way culture sometimes distorts it. True masculinity in intimacy is about grounding, direction, and creating a container so strong that she can finally let herself dissolve within it. Think of a tree in the middle of a storm. The winds rage, the rain pours, the sky cracks open with lightning, but the tree remains rooted. That's what masculine energy feels like to a woman when she is with you. It tells her, I will not be shaken. You can bring me your waves, your chaos, your wildness, and I will hold steady. That is when she feels the freedom to pour, because she knows she will not drown you. She knows you can take it. Masculine energy is also about direction, not just in life, but in the bedroom. A woman craves to feel guided, not in the sense that you are commanding her, but that you are leading with clarity. When you hesitate, when you second, guess yourself, when you constantly ask for permission in ways that betray your uncertainty, she feels the burden of having to carry the frame. But when you know what you want and you move with purpose, she can finally let go of needing to control. And when she lets go, her body flows. Let me give you a small example. Imagine you are about to kiss her. Instead of asking, "Can I kiss you?" in a timid way that leaves the energy flat, you close the distance slowly, you let your eyes tell her everything, and then you lean in with certainty. She feels your intention before the kiss even happens. That certainty is what makes her melt. The same is true in every intimate moment. When you hesitate, you keep her in her head. When you move with grounded clarity, you pull her into her body. Now let's connect this back to water. Water flows when it has direction, when it feels the boundaries of the riverbank. Without boundaries, water becomes a flood, chaotic and overwhelming. With too much restriction, it stagnates. But with the right balance, it becomes powerful, alive, unstoppable. You are that riverbank. Your masculine energy gives shape to her flow. And when you embody it, she doesn't just respond, she overflows. But here is the nuance. Masculine energy is not about force. It is about consistency. It's not about pushing her into surrender. It's about creating an environment where surrender becomes the most natural thing. That means staying calm when she tests you, staying centered when she wavers, and staying intentional when she needs guidance. The more grounded you are, the more water she feels safe to release. This is the paradox. She pours not because you demand it, but because you hold so firmly that she can no longer resist. Her surrender is her choice, but your energy makes that choice irresistible. And once you feel this dynamic, you will never again confuse performance with power. Because the true power of a man is not measured by how much he takes, but by how much he allows her to give. From here, there is only one layer left to uncover the deeper emotional and spiritual intimacy, that transforms this act into something unforgettable. When all of these layers come together, your presence, your polarity, your emotional attunement, your grounded masculine energy, something extraordinary is born. It is no longer just about arousal or even about making her pour water. It becomes an experience of union, of intimacy that transcends the physical. Because at the heart of it, she isn't pouring simply for pleasure. She is pouring because she feels safe enough to release everything she has been holding inside. Her body is telling you, here with you I can let go. This is where intimacy shifts from performance to connection. Think of the moments in your life when you felt deeply understood, when someone held space for you without judgment. Didn't you feel lighter, freer, more open? That is what she feels with you in these moments, multiplied by the intensity of desire and vulnerability. Her pouring is not just her body responding. It is her trust, her gratitude, her soul saying yes. But let's be honest. Many men stop too soon. They believe the climax of intimacy is the peak moment, the physical release. In truth, the climax is only the doorway. What makes the experience unforgettable is what happens after. Do you collapse into silence, retreat into distraction, or fall asleep? Or do you hold her, breathe with her, look into her eyes and let her know with your touch, you are safe, you are cherished, you are enough? That aftercare, that softness, is what transforms pleasure into memory. It is what makes her not only pour but long to return to you again and again. This final layer is spiritual intimacy, not in the religious sense, but in the human sense, the awareness that in this moment you and she are dissolving into something larger than yourselves. Her body flows, your body anchors, and together you create a cycle of giving and receiving that nourishes both of you. This is why the most powerful intimacy never feels transactional, it feels timeless. And here's the truth every man must hear: making her pour water is not about technique, tricks, or secrets hidden in some book. It is about becoming the kind of man who invites surrender naturally, a man who shows up fully, who knows his own center, who isn't afraid of her vulnerability, and who leads with both strength and tenderness. That man doesn't need to chase, he attracts. He doesn't need to prove, he embodies. And when he does, her body answers with the only response it knows: flow. So if you want her to pour, don't start by looking at her. Start by looking at yourself. Are you present or are you distracted? Are you grounded or are you restless? Are you creating safety or are you rushing for results? When you shift who you are, you shift what she feels. And when she feels everything she has been craving: safety, polarity, attunement, grounded energy, her surrender is inevitable. This is the one sure way, not a trick, not a shortcut, but a way of being. When you embody it, she doesn't just pour in your presence, she flourishes. And the intimacy you share will not only transform her, it will transform you. Because when a woman feels free enough to release everything, you both taste what intimacy was always meant to be, not performance but connection. Not control but surrender, not just desire but devotion. Here's to you stepping into that power, not the power to force, but the power to allow. To create, to invite, and to hold. When you do, she will not only pour water, she will pour herself into you, and you will both discover what it truly means to be alive together.